The Pharisees came out and began to argue with Jesus, seeking from him a sign from heaven to test him. Are you kidding me? They're seeking a sign? And it says Jesus sighed deeply in his spirit. I guess after all this, Jesus is, by this, he's internationally known for his miracles. People are coming from other countries to see Jesus' miracles. Everyone's trying to touch his clothes just to get healed. There's no question. He just got done feeding thousands of people with a lunchbox. Again, he's healed lepers, he's healed paralyzed people, get up and walk and take your mat, and they've done it. He has heaven opened at his baptism, the Father spoke. He's cast out demons by the thousands. He's healed insanity. He has walked on water, stilled the storm, raised the dead, all these miracles. And after all that, they're saying, oh, that's not quite enough. How about one more? Maybe something in the sky. All those miracles, all that fulfilled prophecy, John the Baptist's testimony, God the Father's testimony, and you still don't know who Jesus is? You need one more sign? How blind can a person be? And if you think, well, maybe they just didn't know about the miracles. Oh no, they knew about the miracles, because remember, they, way back in chapter 3, they were trying to say that Jesus got this power from Satan. That's how he was doing the miracles. They knew he was doing them. Verse 12, Jesus says, he sighs, he says, why does this generation ask for a miraculous sign? I tell you the truth, no sign will be given to it. Then he left them. A miracle in the sky wouldn't help. A miracle in the sky, miracles in the sky aren't any better than miracles on the ground. In fact, I think they're not even as good as miracles on the ground. Because how many times have you seen something in the sky that you didn't know what it was? Right? It happens all the time. You see something, what was that? And that's not anything, that's not going to prove anything. It happens all the time. Jesus did miracles up close, right in front of people's faces. Verifiable. I defy anyone in this room to think up any miracle that would be better proof or more difficult to do than the ones Jesus did. There's no better proof than that. People who demand more proof only prove that they're irrational and they're impervious to any proof. And so you can see why Jesus has this emotional response. Just imagine like you have a little toddler and you're going to feed him. And so you make him up some mac and cheese, put him in his high chair, and you give him his mac and cheese, and he says, I can't eat this slop, and he throws it on the floor. And so you say, okay, well, I'll make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So you make him a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and he sends it in like a frisbee into the living room. And then so you say, oh, you're not in the mood for a sandwich. Okay, here's a plate of cookies. And you turn around, he's pelting you in the back of the head with the cookies as soon as you turn around. And so by now you're starting to suspect, maybe he's not really even hungry. But you don't want to be cruel, so you make him some more mac and cheese and another sandwich, another plate of cookies and some chicken nuggets and some lobster and prime rib and fried chicken and everything, and you put it all on his tray. And he just kicks the tray, knocks it all on the floor, and says, I want celery, or something else. How long are you going to let that keep going until finally you say, you know what, you're not hungry, we're done, you're going to bed? Right? Jesus let it go on like a year and a half or more. And finally here he says, you know what, you're done. We're done here. No more. The literal translation when he says, why does this generation seek a sign? I tell you the truth, if no sign. Literally it says, I tell you the truth, if any sign is given to this generation, and then he just stops, turns away, gets in the boat, and leaves. He doesn't even finish his sentence. When somebody responds to you and they don't even finish their sentence, that's an emotional thing. Right? He's upset. It's almost like in the form of an oath. In the Old Testament they say, may the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if I do this thing. It's almost like that, except he leaves out the whole oath part. He just says, if another sign is given to you, so help me, and he just leaves. You want a sign? Here's your sign. No more signs. It's a sign of judgment. Sign of judgment. And after this, Jesus is done. He does a few more miracles, mostly in Gentile territory or in private, but the time for big public displays of miraculous power in Israel is over at this point. This is the worst kind of blindness. It's willful blindness. No matter what Jesus does, miracle he does, they're blind as bats. No matter how clear he makes his communication, they're deaf as a post. They just refuse to see. It's willful blindness. So that's the first thing that we learn. That's the first danger to watch out for. Seeking something other than what God has given. God's given all his proof, and we seek something else. Watch out for that. Watch out for that. Now, when we see it in the Pharisees, it doesn't seem like, it's like, oh, I would never do that. Those guys are terrible. But we can be influenced by that. It is something that can, in subtle ways, we can do that. We can look for something different than what God has given, right? We want him to say something. We want him to say it in a different way. We want him to give it to us in a different form than what he's done. And so we're susceptible. And so Jesus warns them. Look at verse 15. Be careful. He's in the boat now with his own disciples. He said, be careful. Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and that of Herod. Yeast is a metaphor for subtle, invisible, pervasive influence. That's what yeast represents. It can sneak into you and sneak up on you and influence you. That kind of mentality. Herod was the same way. He's looking for a miracle at Jesus' trial. So Jesus warns the disciples